Hello and welcome to Breathwork and Lymphatic Wellness class number 3. Today we're going to make friends with our breath. So my name is Kathleen Helen. Listen, I'm a lymphedema therapist. I'm also board certified in therapeutic massage and body work, as well as a health coach and a yoga teacher. And I'm also the author of the books Stress Reduction for Lymphedema, as well as mindful strategies for adults with adverse childhood experiences. So let's look at what we will explore in class today. And I'm really excited to share this information with you. We're going to learn about the physiology of breathing. We're going to experience zero point 0.1 hertz breathing, which I talk about so much in my book, Stress Reduction for Lymphedema. And we're going to briefly discuss the concepts of ahimsa and asteya, which are part of the Yoga Sutras. But first, we'll start with a mindful moment. So I'll invite you to take a position that's respectful yet very comfortable. You can leave your eyes open or close them if you like. And I'll just encourage you to take a few gentle breaths. We're just kind of checking in with ourselves in today's mindful moment at the beginning of class, settling in, and thinking about what we just learned we're going to talk about in class today. Do you know about this zero point 0.1 hertz breathing? Are you excited to learn more about the physiology of breath? What do you already know about the physiology of breath? How could this possibly help you teach or share information about how important breathing is with your clients or your loved ones or yourself? Especially if you want to breathe more purposefully in 2025. What questions do you have? And do you know about the yamas of ahimsa and asteya from your yogic practice? Are you excited to learn more about this? Are you kind of curious, like why do these have to do with breath work? What is the connection there? And just anything else you might be thinking of in this moment. So I'll invite you, we can close this moment with a minute of 5-5 breathing. So it'll be an inhale to a count of 5, exhale to a count of 5. I will keep the time and we'll do it for about a minute. And we start each of these breath practices with an exhale and then inhale and exhale. 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 Last inhale and last exhale. So let's move into learning some science. But before that, let's start with our neck and shoulder range of motion. So I'll invite you to inhale and look up. Exhale and look down. Inhale and look up. Exhale and look down. Last inhale, looking up. Last exhale, looking down. Bring your head to a neutral position and then inhale and look left. Exhale and look to the right. Inhale, looking left. Exhale, look to the right. Last inhale to the left. Last exhale to the right. Return your head to a neutral position and then take the left ear to the left shoulder. Right ear to right shoulder. Left ear to left shoulder. Right ear to right shoulder. Last left ear to left shoulder. And last time to the right. Bring your head to the neutral position again. Take your hands, put them on your shoulders, and then up and back and down. Let's do some shoulder rolls. Really getting curious about how your shoulders are today in this moment. Testing out your range of motion comfortably. One more time in this direction, and then switch to the opposite direction. And last one in this direction. And we can take our hands, put them down at our thighs. And then we're gonna start today by looking a little bit more into what prana is. So we know that prana is another word for subtle energy, and this is according to the yoga tradition. And let's look and do a little bit of guided meditation, really, really short, on prana and perception. So you can inhale and exhale comfortably, leave your eyes open or close them. And just think about your reaction to the question, can breath work change the mind? Have you ever felt that your mind, you're in a different state of mind after breath work? And doing this practice of breath work, moving the prana in the body, change your mind and the way you're thinking in the moment. And hopefully you've tried yoga and enjoyed it before. In your experience, have you seen whether yoga can actually change your future? Have you been in a situation where you thought a situation that concerned you or a way you were thinking or your plan of action was going to be in one direction, and then you took a yoga class and felt differently about that situation and reacted differently to that person, that situation after your yoga session, after doing asana, pranayama, pratyahara? Have you felt differently about a situation after your yoga practice? And that may be due to prana. The way prana moves in your body could possibly be the reason why your perception was changed. So if your eyes are closed, I invite you to open them up again and wiggle your fingers and toes. And let's think about whether our breath could be actually our most powerful, our most super powerful friend. And we'll look a little bit at the research, seeing this picture of this wonderful woman who is doing her breathing. Pranayamic breathing, which is defined as a manipulation of breath movement, has been shown to contribute to a physiologic response characterized by the presence of decreased oxygen consumption, which isn't necessarily bad, decreased heart rate, decreased blood pressure, increased theta wave amplitude in EEG recordings, increased parasympathetic activity, alertness, and reinvigoration. So this is according to these researchers. When you manipulate your movement of breath through pranayamic breathing, there's actually a physiologic response in the body. And we showed briefly the human brain waves are changed as a result of breath work. And these researchers find that the theta power serves as a biomarker of meditative state itself and is associated with brain changes. So maybe breath work really can change the way your brain works. So let's look briefly at the general cautions I have for all of this breath work that we'll do. Just generally, if you have any medical condition that you think would be impacted negatively by you practicing breath work, by you breathing differently than you usually breathe, please stop and get a permission from your primary care physician before doing some of the serious breath work practices that are in these videos. You can always watch the entire video. There's a lot of science and research, but before you do the breath work practices with us, please make sure it's safe for you to do them. The videos will always be here. They will always be free. So you can even watch the video, see us do the breath work, and skip that until it's a safe time for you to participate with us in the breath work, and just go ahead and learn from the studies that we share. And then even if you're cleared and normally enjoy breath work, if today in this breath work session, you have any side effects that are negative, that is your body telling you to stop the breath work because it's not safe for you today in this point, that might include anxiety, lightheadedness or dizziness, a rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, anything else that is your body telling you not to do it, just go ahead and stop. You can still learn from the rest of the science. And then if you feel at another time you want to try the breath work again, go ahead and try it at a later time. This is not the type of breath work that requires you to have any kind of feeling and then just push through it. That's not what we're doing. We're listening to our bodies in the moment. If our bodies are telling us to stop, then we are listening to our bodies and stopping. And are you ready for seated breath work? It's not necessarily better to sit while doing breath work than lie down. My yoga teachers have told me if you normally breathe, let's say 10 breaths a minute, and you find it difficult, you get some kind of side effects, negative symptoms from cutting down the breathing by 30%, say to 7 breaths a minute, 6 breaths a minute, you have trouble going down that far, then seated breath work may not be for you. You can go ahead and do the breath work lying down like these lovely people are in this picture. And we've seen with research that doing the breath work lying down can actually have benefits to the lymphatic system. So if you're doing breath work because you want it to positively affect your lymphatic flow, doing the breath work lying down may be a good decision. And then when and how do we practice pranayama? So pranayama, the breath work is started once the yogi has a solid practice of yoga. I'll encourage you to also have an empty stomach, empty bowel and bladder. So definitely go to the bathroom before you practice breath work. And it's uncomfortable to do breath work on a full stomach when you're breathing and your diaphragm is kind of like right next to that full stomach. It can feel a little uncomfortable and distracting. And then if the practice invites you to breathe through your nose, focus on nose breathing if that is appropriate and available to you. So let's look at the type of breath work we're going to look at today, and that is 6 breaths a minute, equaling a breathing frequency of 0.1 hertz. So if you've read the Stress Reduction for Lymphedema book, in paperback, in Kindle, you have seen the research behind this 0.1 hertz breathing. It's very interesting how in cultures all around the world, this breathing frequency is often seen as beneficial and is included in their cultural practices. So what is so special about this 0.1 hertz? And it's so special because changing our breathing pattern can change our autonomic nervous system activity. So the breathing is sending signals to the nervous system. And as we're doing this 0.1 hertz breathing, our nervous system is going into this parasympathetic rest and digest state. So let's look at the study. Slow breathing reduces the secretion of adrenal medulla norepinephrine and reduces sympathetic nerve excitement. That's certainly a mouthful. But the researchers find that norepinephrine, which is also known as noradrenaline, is used in fight or flight response in the sympathetic nervous system. So that's when we need to be on, when we need to be running away from the tiger or the bear. Noradrenaline, norepinephrine is in our body to help us with this fight or flight response when we are in danger. Stressful situations can trigger the release of norepinephrine, so it's useful to use slow breathing to help reduce secretion of this hormone if we don't actually need to be running away from the tiger right here and now. So let's try it. Let's try 5 minutes of 5-5 breathing. So in our mindful moment, we did 1 minute, but let's expand it and actually do 5 minutes. So we'll begin in a relaxed yet alert position. Your eyes can be open or closed. And I'll have you start with exhaling fully and then inhale and exhale. 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 We have about a minute left. Inhale and exhale. 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 One more for good measure. Inhale and exhale. That was at probably at least maybe a little bit more than 30 breaths. And as you return to breathing normally, you can open your eyes if they're closed. And let's take a moment and feel how that breathing practice felt in our bodies and in our minds. How do you feel now versus how you felt before you pressed play on the video? Okay, and I'll invite you to wiggle the fingers and the toes, and I'll move forward and ask that great question. What happens when we breathe? What actually happens in our body? So we're going to talk about the breathing central pattern generator. So that is the name for the part of our body that actually generates and transmits the rhythmic patterned activity to the skeletal muscle that adjusts the way we breathe. So we have some voluntary movement control over breathing, but also there's this involuntary control when we're not thinking, hey, I have to breathe, your body is breathing for you. And the breathing central pattern generator transmits the activity to the skeletal muscle that adjusts the breathing so that you get the amount of gases in and out of your body. That is the reason why we breathe in the first place. So the breathing central pattern generator ensures that we have adequate oxygen coming into the body from the breathing rate and adequate carbon dioxide removed from the body according to how many times, how deep, how many times a minute we breathe. We have to get an adequate supply of both of those gases in the blood. And it adjusts because we have changing metabolic demands, environmental conditions. We may be exercising, we need more oxygen. We may need environmental conditions. When I was up on the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, my breathing was different because there's less air pressure up at 19,000 feet than it is now. I'm in San Diego and I'm at sea level. And also the breathing central pattern generator knows that we have to protect our airway patency and our lung health. So we can't do something that's going to damage our lungs. And then the breathing and the oxygen supply has to participate in and coordinate with other behaviors in the body. And these researchers continue by explaining to us almost every behavior or state and a vast array of endogenous neurochemicals, such as amino acids, biogenic amines, and a large number of neuropeptides regulate or affect breathing. And I want you to think, because I was very curious when I read this sentence, why is breathing so important? And why are we using so many things to adjust and control our breathing? Like, it seems a little micromanaging by the body. If all that breathing is supposed to do basically is get some oxygen in and get the carbon dioxide out and make those levels maintained in the body. Why are we using neurochemicals, amines, neuropeptides to regulate and affect breathing? And I was really excited at the response, at the science behind why our body is like micromanaging the breathing. And it's because breathing rhythms are detected through our nervous system where they have no apparent role in ventilation. So that means that our body is using the breathing, it's sensing, different parts of our bodies are sensing our breath and using it as a shortcut to like send a message to another part of body, so the body does the job of homeostasis, of keeping us alive, of keeping us a functioning organism. This is bonkers fantastic to me. This is so interesting to me. But think about what this means and what we've seen just in these little cartoons with the eyes. Breathing rhythms are detected by the nervous system, and they have a role in the respiratory modulation of the pupil. So, according to how we breathe, is how our pupil, whether they're dilating, whether they're constricting, our fear response. And we can see this in just if we're breathing more slowly, our fear, we're feeling an experiment with yourself if this happens to you, because it happens to me. If I breathe more slowly, like that zero point 0.1 hertz breathing or different types of slow, regular breathing styles, I will feel less afraid of something emotionally because of nothing has happened in the situation. Nothing has changed on the outside, but my breathing changes how I feel on the inside. And then if I'm hyperventilating, if I'm breathing really fast, I can see myself getting agitated. Just nothing has happened outside in the situation, just me fast breathing. I feel these senses of agitating coming up in my body. And yoga is all about hearing about something, but experimenting to see if it's true in your life. It's not about believing in something because your yoga teacher told you to. It's about taking it and bringing it in your life and seeing if it works in your body, in your life as well. So definitely see if this affects you. So why do we practice breath work? And the researchers shared the breathing rhythm was hijacked by the brain for the brain's signal processing needs to the body. So the upshot is because the brain is using breathing to give signals to the bodies, the volitional changes in breathing rhythm might be utilized. So we might be able to use the breathing because we can change the breathing rhythm as well as our body can breathe by itself. But we can change the way we breathe consciously, and the volitional changes in breathing rhythm might be utilized to alter signal processing in our own brain. So these things that we think our brain is doing it, we have no control over it, we actually can do a little bit of control over the way that we think by changing the way that we breathe. So the researchers share with us breathing practice, that is short-term or extended repeated changing in breathing pattern, can profoundly and usually positively modulate emotion and cognition. So both the feelings we experience and how we're able to deal with the world, our cognition, our memory, our ability to interact with the world. So now I'd like to switch to yamas, which is the yogic precepts as part of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. The first set in this 8 limbs of yoga is the yamas. And 2 of these yamas are ahimsa, which people are very familiar with, this nonviolence, and also asteya, which is non-stealing. So let's talk a little bit about the yamas in our yoga practice as we do yoga and how they might affect and how they might be interpreted in how we're doing breath work. So ahimsa, we'll usually think about ahimsa as nonviolence and then like nonviolence to others, but I want to also encourage you to think about whether we could apply it to nonviolence to ourself. So we want to have a right relationship with ourself. We don't want to be violent to ourselves, and that is very, very good advice to consider when we're doing something that might challenge us. And we know on the yoga mat, if you're in a yoga class, sometimes it really feels like you're competing against everyone else on their mats, people who are more experienced than you in yoga, people who are more flexible than you. And that sometimes the urge is, I'm going to get through with this yoga class. I want to be just as good as they are. I'm going to kind of push myself in an unhealthy direction so I can fit in, so I can be good enough for this. And that's not a right relationship with yourself, doing violence to yourself, trying to get through the yoga class, or like, I feel a side effect. I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling short of breath, but I still want to get through all these pranayama practice. So I'm just going to like push myself. That's not having a right relationship with yourself. And then don't self-sacrifice either. I see a lot of people, and in my life, I have this impulse inside of me that wants to be that people pleaser, that wants to do something even though I know I should take rest. Well, someone else needs me to do something, so I'll just, do this favor for someone else, even though I should be doing self-care for myself. And that is violence towards myself. So not self-sacrificing is part of this idea of non-violence, ahimsa. And let's also look at asteya, which is not stealing. And we also, obviously, the first idea is usually not to steal from others. So don't steal from others, but also think of stealing from ourselves, to not steal from ourselves, to not take from ourselves when we should be giving to ourselves. Like self-care should be not punishing and beating ourselves up for not being good enough, but supporting ourselves. And in breath work, this might be if we're holding the hold too long and then gasping as we inhale because we did the breath work not in a way that supported our own body, we're actually stealing the good result that we could have from ourselves. When we're giving to everyone else and then we have nothing left for ourselves, at the end of the day, we're just so exhausted because we had to take care of everyone else. And then we don't have time for our own self-care, especially if we have lymphatic disease like lymphedema, and then our body doesn't get taken care of. We are stealing from ourselves. And yoga asks us to follow the yama of asteya, which is no stealing. And another part of this is where we get our satisfaction. And don't look outward into the outward for satisfaction, for something or someone else to show us that we're satisfied or to give us satisfaction, but true satisfaction can only come from inside. And looking outward for satisfaction is stealing from others instead of having the satisfaction that comes from ourselves. So some things to think about. And as a reminder to what I said about the pranayama and not stealing from ourselves and not being violent with ourselves as we practice pranayama, only perform pranayama if each aspect of the breath is comfortable. So as we inhale, the entire inhale is comfortable. We're not trying to do too long of an inhale or too short of an inhale and it's uncomfortable. If we're holding in the breath, don't hold too long until we're just desperate and we have to gasp to get that next breath of air, because that's asteya, that's stealing from ourselves. And if we exhale, don't exhale until it's way too long and then we're gasping for that inhale. So it's not, breath work should not be to punish ourselves. It should be to improve our own health. And just like this cute little kitty, he's being orange, isn't he? And he is so comfortable. He has his little paw up here, and he doesn't look like he would tolerate if something was uncomfortable for him. And that's why I picked the orange guy, right? Because orange guys don't really tolerate if something is uncomfortable. Let yourself have your yoga practice, including your pranayama inside of your yoga practice, be completely comfortable. So let's think of a practice that we can play with this week to ensure that our exhales are relaxing, because often we will not exhale enough. There will be issues with complete, gentle, full exhalation. So I'll invite you as you inhale to make a really tight fist. And then relax the hand, allowing to open when you exhale. Oh, it's like a relaxation, right? Inhale and make that tight fist. Exhale as you relax the hand. And I even found my shoulders exhaling and relaxing as well. So let's do it one more time. Tight fist as we inhale. And relaxing as we exhale, gently letting that breath go. And observe how it feels to relax your hands for those few breaths. And try to bring that same feeling to all of your exhalations. Okay, so we've covered a lot in this brief class. We've looked at the physiology of breathing. We've tried that zero point 0.1 hertz breathing, that's 6 breaths a minute, and seen if it had a difference in our nervous systems. And we talked about prana, and we talked about two of the yamas today, nonviolence and non-stealing, and how we can apply them very beneficially, very nurturingly to ourselves. So now I'll have us close this brief class with a mindful moment. So just take a few deep breaths and think about what we learned in this class. Is there anything that you're really surprised about? Like, I was really surprised about how many different ways our body uses our breath to signal. Our mind uses our breath to send signals to the body, kind of marching orders according to the breath, and how we can take charge of our own breath to change perhaps our future, change our mind, change how our mind operates and helps us live our life in moment to moment. Is there anything that you're excited to take into your daily life? Is there anything that you're excited to share with a friend or a loved one or a client? And how did you feel doing that 5-minute breathwork practice that we did? Is that something that you'd like to share with someone you know? And let us know in the comments section your response to the breath work, anything you're interested in, anything you knew before, would like to share with everybody about how the body uses the breath. Definitely share it in the YouTube comments. And share any questions that you still have, anything that you're excited about learning. And we have so many episodes left in this long class, so definitely join us in future episodes to learn more about the power of breath. And as we close each of our classes, we'll do the 5-5 breathing. We'll do a 5-second inhale, a 5-second exhale. We'll do it for 1 minute, and I'll keep the time. And we'll start by exhaling and inhaling and exhale. Inhale 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 and exhale. For fun, last inhale and last exhale. Thank you so much for joining us. And know that the full free 10-session breathwork and lymphatic wellness class is on my YouTube channel. The classes will always be here. They'll always be free. So feel free to watch them and rewatch them if you want to learn again. Practice the breathing practices with us again. And here are the resources that we use today. Thank you very much for joining us.